There is a hole at the bottom of the sea. The sea is a great unknown. At once this horrifying, scary thing we know nothing about, and at the same time the most calming, soothing, blank canvas. Undulating breath, in, out, in, out, in, out. Nothing else matters. I started meditating by the water, and one day I saw a purple tunnel rising between my eyes toward the sun and the sky. A chromatic tunnel. The sea is unknown. The unknown is scary or exciting, or both, depending on how you look at it. Jesus walked on the water. He let all the emotions and turbulence die at his feet under each footstep as he walked toward the horizon, toward the unknown. Die to every moment. I think it was Jesus who said that. Die to every moment. When my eyes glaze over and I dissociate, when I get up or walk away or stare at my phone or at the ceiling or can't sit still, it's because I have not accepted everything that this moment has in it. Everything this moment is asking for. What is coming up for you right now in your body? Is there fear? Is there sadness? Is there happiness? Am I tightening up my stomach, clenching my jaws, my fists, my ass, my throat, my forehead? Is there tension in my eyes? How can I breathe to these places softly and let go? How can I let the feelings dance inside me like little particles of electricity and not feel like I have to hold tight and control my body? How can I feel my emotions and not become them? How can I breathe into them and let them go? How can I walk on water and not fall under great big waves? How can I die to every moment? I have to open up my throat all the way down to my ass. Open all the tubes and breathe. Like the ocean, just breathe and accept whatever comes up, big or small waves, whether it's excitement or pain or impatience or anger or fear. Breathe through my lungs and expand them to the sides and move them like how God split the sea like two lungs. And the sea floor was cleared and we could walk calmly across on the bottom to the other side. There's always a way through. It isn't always pleasant, but there's always a way through. When I breathe deeply and let my electricity travel freely through my body without closing off parts, I'm making a full connection between the top of my head, the bottom of my feet, the sky, and the earth, and this moment. Like a long tube starting at my vagina and ending at my throat and traveling from my third eye into the world, into the sun, through my feet, into the earth, like roots deep into the ground. Sometimes feelings feel impossible to go through, and there's always a way through. There is a dark corridor with a light at the end of it, and you have to cross an ocean into the unknown, and that's terrifying, but you have to know that there is life on the other side. Just like Jesus walked on the water, we have to walk on the water. We have the choice to go into the unknown. It's much easier to run. Some people spend their entire lives running. Suicidal thoughts, too, are just the mind's solution to escape difficult feelings that need to be felt because they're there. You're an embarrassment. You should die. You're an embarrassment. You should die. You're an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment. You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing yourself. You should die. You should die. You should die. Isn't it silly? What we drill into ourselves? What if we just chose to smile at them and know deeply that these thoughts are just covering up pain? And once you go through the pain, instead of listening to the thoughts and let it flow, the river of life flows through you. When we let go of control, of running, of holding our body tight, and relinquish and let go to the now, we catch a glimpse of God's will for us, of life. We become connected to our deepest and highest self. We become part of the world. We know what to do. We become what we've come here for. We become communication tubes. We are like telephone operators, using our bodies as a channel, connecting lines. We know when and what to wire. We are the medium that connects things. We let the things unfold, just like a tree unfolds. He doesn't ask or think, should I grow my leaf on the left side or the right side tomorrow? It just does. It just is. It just unfolds. It happens. We are like trees. We can be like trees, but with legs. Our body is a communication tube to higher realms if we are open. We can communicate, we can say what we want, and then we meet the world. If we're open, we don't know disappointment, because if it isn't right, then it isn't right, and we can channel ourselves into another place. We don't need to keep knocking on closed doors, because we know what we want, and we know that the world is full of places where we can get it. We don't have to keep shouting something to someone who can't hear what we're saying. We don't have to keep shouting something to someone who can't hear what we're saying. We don't have to keep shouting something to someone who can't hear what we're saying. We don't have to keep shouting something to someone who can't hear what we're saying. We don't have to keep shouting something to someone who can't hear what we're saying. We don't have to keep shouting something to someone who can't hear what we're saying. We don't have to keep shouting something to someone who can't hear what we're saying. We can shift over to the next telephone call. Hello? Hi. I love you. I love you too, but we can't be together. That's okay. Thank you for everything. And like a butterfly flies off your palm, the next one will land once you let go. But if it's okay to let people go, then why do we bother talking about things? Because before we let go of a person or a situation, if both sides are open to conversation, then we can communicate and move together to the next rung of Jacob's ladder. We can reflect things to each other like mirrors and grow spiritually together. And if not, then we can leave. And that's the beauty of choice and of abundance. No one can do anything to us. We are whole and have a membrane around us, like eyelashes around an eye, or pubic hair around a pubic area, or a ring around Saturn, a membrane around an oyster. We don't have to take everything in. People will come and say things to us. They're saying what they're feeling, and if we have a strong foot on the ground, we cannot fall over if we remember that. For example, you're ugly. This is a reflection of a person's thoughts of himself, which he projects outwards. I don't have to take it in if I don't want to. I can select. I can say, hey, I don't like it when you say that, it makes me feel upset, and see if that changes his behavior. Or I can see where it comes from and from his own insecurities and accept him without taking it in, or I can leave. We have to keep our eyes open to see the other side. When we live in a controlled and isolated world, when we close our eyes, we close ourselves off from life. We stay on the outside of things. We lose our footing and ourself. It's always the same scene, but we can see it differently. We can see a room full of people who don't want to talk to us. They are all one and we are outsiders. Or we can see ourselves as part of an exciting group of new people we don't know yet. I walked through a park yesterday evening and was surprised to see tens, if not hundreds, of people sitting and enjoying the evening breeze. I could have felt jealous or distressed or lonely, but yesterday I felt like I was part of it. I smiled and was excited. It didn't mean I had to go and walk and try and talk to all of them or any of them. Yesterday, just looking was enough to feel lucky to be alive. It's relaxing to go to a party and not worry about making a connection, just keeping eyes open and swimming like a fish. And if someone seems interesting, I can say, hey, I like your dress. And perhaps it will lead to a 2-minute conversation or an hour, or perhaps we will become the best of friends. But staying with this not knowing, not expecting anything is wildly refreshing. My eyes are mediators. Sometimes we get into our heads, but if we just look and make eye contact, all the truth is found inside the reality of this moment. The tree, the wall, a red cardigan, a sleeping dog, the walls, another person's eyes. On the contrary, this happened yesterday, this is happening tomorrow, I'm a terrible person, I'm so embarrassed about that thing that happened last week at work. None of these things exist or matter anymore. We see them for what they are baggage we carry around for no reason. We can open our eyes and let go of the past, and then we can see. Like what's happening right now. Where are different objects in relation to me in the room? What's in this present moment? What is happening inside my body right now? What about my breath? Is it deep? Is it shallow? What about the weight of my body on the surface that I'm sitting on? Or like you, right now, you're watching me and I'm talking at you through a screen. You're breathing. Your breath is moving in and out. Your flesh is covered by skin. Your skin is covered in cloth. And your ass is heavy on a surface. It's much easier to close our eyes or look down or stay in our heads. But when we open our eyes and look around, we can see the truth, and the world becomes brighter, filled with light. Electricity flows through us like water. We connect to our sensitivity. We don't have to close our eyes to be selective. In fact, when we close our eyes, we narrow our vision. We are disconnecting from ourselves and our sensitivity from this moment. When we keep our eyes open, we can make active decisions. Sometimes we don't know the obvious right or wrong. There isn't a right or wrong choice, but we can base our choices solely on what feels right for us right now. Being attentive to ourselves and the world right in this moment, which is the only thing that exists, this moment. We can decide what we need for now. Like, yes, that sounds like fun, or that sounds like fun, but not today. Or, okay, let's do that, but on Wednesday. Or, no thanks, I'm busy. Or, yeah, that sounds great, I'll cancel my plans. Or, I need some time alone right now. And so on and so forth. When we narrow our eyes, we lose our sensitivity. Narrowing ourselves as a shield is closing ourselves off from life. It's much easier to do, but we become isolated. We choose death. Rather, we can be brave and stay open and make moment by moment decisions of where to look by staying curious like a baby. Not to stop seeing, but rather to see and decide where to look. It's softer, a membrane rather than a shield, keeping our body tubes open and our power of decision in use. Being open is being connected to our femininity or sensitivity, like a flower, like a vagina. It does not mean letting everything in. On the contrary, using our human power to decide what to channel our energy into and when to say, no thanks. When an intruder enters an oyster, the oyster responds by making layer upon layer of lacquer around it. What started out as an unwelcome guest is turned into a beautiful pearl. The oyster cannot extricate the intruder from itself, so rather than allowing it to destroy it, shriveling up and dying, it takes the best possible action that it can in the moment and makes the pain into a precious stone. When the intruder enters, it becomes part of the oyster. It becomes part of the oyster's pain. The oyster doesn't fight it, but integrates it into itself, much like we can do with our pain. When there are strong emotions inside us, we can feel them and infuse them into us, not refuse them and make them stuck in our bodies into enemies. Go through them and make a beautiful pearl out of past suffering, instead of creating more suffering by fighting the pain. Accepting what is transforms it. Dying at every moment means accepting what is and surrendering and agreeing to be entirely present, open, and electric at every single moment, even if it means feeling pain or fear or excitement or anger, or having to deal with the fear of making a decision, even if it means looking around, not falling off. It means being deeply connected to ourselves and once aware that we are particles, part of a much bigger universe. Our feet firmly connected to the ground and our heads up tall looking out at the sky. We can then become a bolt of lightning hitting the ground, very present and at the same time channeling strong intention, a strong message from beyond ourselves.